All right, so today is February 26, 2021. It is 9:07 a.m., and we are at the Greenville County Sheriff's Department speaking with the sheriff. Sheriff, would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Sheriff Wesley Holt, the Greene County Sheriff. I've been in law enforcement for the last 31 years, 3 of those years being serving as sheriff. Started out working in the jail, so I have a background from the bottom up. Worked my way up through patrol, up to administration, and then on to sheriff. So I've been there and done that.
And how many years have you been sheriff?
3 years.
You've been sheriff for 3 years. Okay. And so your prior law enforcement experience is right here with Greene County?
It is. I love it here with Greene County.
Okay, perfect. What year was your jail facility built?
It was built in 1987 and opened up in 1987. The jail, we have 2 facilities. We have the jail, which is right behind us here, and we have the workhouse, which was built in 2002. The workhouse was built to alleviate overcrowding from this jail because this is a multi-story jail, and we had no way to go on up with it. We had to build the workhouse down on Summer Street.
Okay, so it's a multi-story. So it was built out completely at construction.
Yes, it was.
Okay. How many courtrooms are in the Justice Center?
Well, we don't have a justice center. We still have a courthouse. So my inmates are transported from the jail over to the courthouse. We have 4 courtrooms in the courthouse at this time.
All right. Do you feel that that's efficient and safe to be transporting?
Right now, no, it's not, because a lot of times we will have inmates at the workhouse that officers have to load up into a van and bring back up to here to the facility. So anytime you're transporting inmates, there's a chance that something can go wrong.
Definitely.
That's what you've got to look at, because you're taking them out of a facility, bringing them up, and taking them into another facility. Now the courthouse here is connected to our office upstairs via an alleyway that goes across, and you can video that later, but it's out there. And we take them across, but still yet we have to bring them up, and they go through the detective division to get over to the courthouse.
Okay. So they're going through other parts of buildings and
Right.
to get some. Okay. Yeah, that seems kind of inefficient. You're correct. How many deputies are employed for the security of the courtroom?
I have 3 full-time and 4 part-time.
Okay.
That handle court security.
Okay. How many inmates was the jail built for?
Okay, the jail was built for 167. 147 of those were males, and the jail was only built to hold 20 females. So back when I started working down there in 1989, if we had 2 or 3 females, maybe sometimes 4 or 5, that was a big deal. Now our female population's catching up with our male population.
Okay. And so how do you house them if it was only originally built for 20 females?
Well, we have what we call the medical pod. Sometimes we have to put the females into the medical pod and put the males over into other holding cells and things like that if they're on medical down there.
Okay.
At the workhouse, I can house 100 and, let me see here, I think it's 273 at the workhouse, 128 males and 144 females. So what we do there is transport them back and forth if we need to.
Okay, so that's a pretty decent sized work facility.
Yes.
Okay. Some local facilities only house that many, period, total.
Right.
So that's a good size workhouse for sure. How many stories is the jail? You already said it was 2 stories.
No, the main jail down here is 4 stories.
Oh, the main jail is 4 stories.
4 stories.
Okay.
It's a pod system. It has 4 pods in the main area upstairs. 2 different levels of cells.
Okay, so you got the upper level and like a loft, like a higher level, and you said that there's 4 pods. Are the 4 pods 360 degrees around the?
They are around the control tower. Yes.
Okay, so it would be kind of like a wagon wheel style.
That is correct.
Okay. And I'm gonna ask you a question because another sheriff had brought it up. Your control tower, is it raised up off the floor at all, or is it at ground level?
It's more or less halfway in between the top and bottom stories, so they can see the bottom stories, and then they have to look up to see the top stories.
Okay, and then of course you got video surveillance
Video
as well.
surveillance inside the cells, yes.
Okay. How many deputies are employed to operate the jail, and are you fully staffed?
Yes, we're fully staffed, thank goodness. We have 85 staff at the jail. You're looking at 9 to 10 people working on a shift at the jail, and you're looking at 4 to 5 at the workhouse every day.
Okay.
Now the workhouse is on one level, so it has a central control area where they can watch everything from it.
Okay. And how many levels did you say your jail was?
4.
Total of 4. So it takes 9 people, 9 deputies to watch 4 stories. So we're talking about 2 per.
Around to 9 to 10, yes.
Okay, so
9
two
to 10.
2 per floor. And how many inmates are on one floor?
Let's see, each cell. Let me figure this here real quick. You're looking at roughly 30 inmates per pod. So you're looking at 120 inmates up on the upper level.
Okay. 20 inmates. All right. What is the age requirement, experience, and testing procedures, and the starting pay of your jail deputies?
We start out down to jail. To move to the road here, you have to start out in the jail. We feel that getting the jail experience, getting the interaction with the inmates, those are the same inmates they're going to interact out here on the street with. So we start out in the jail. You can start out at 18 in the jail. Our hiring process is done through the civil service system. We have a civil service system here in Greene County, so they would come in and take a test. If they pass that test, then they would get an interview and then be ranked based upon their education experience and things like that on a list, and then we hire from that eligible list to fill positions in the jail. And then when they're in the jail after a year, they can apply to go to a road officer position. So then they can move out of the jail onto a road officer position.
I believe you're the first one that I've heard that actually goes through that process, and it makes sense. Yes. It does. They have to see the end effect before they get out there. And
right.
Perfect. Okay. The starting pay you said was 18.
No, starting pay down at the jail is $14.93 right now.
$14.93. Are you happy with the layout of the jail? Is there anything that you would have done differently?
No, and just, I started out 2 years after the jail was built. It was built in 87. I started out working down there in 1989. Having a multi-story jail is just a headache. We used to have inmates, and they still do. They will flood the upper level. When they flood the upper level, that water's got to go somewhere. So you've got your records and admin and all that down on the lower side, underneath. So when that water goes, where does it go? It comes down. Yep. So we end up with records that are damaged. We end up with having to clean up a lot of mess. We end up with computers. If we don't get plastic on the computers, get them covered up, we'll end up with computer damage from the flood when the inmates flood upstairs.
Okay, that's a very good point. They're the people in Hamilton County, the commissioners, the mayors, they're under the impression that they can just easily stop the flooding that is occurring. The new jail would have cutoffs, but the water has to go someplace, and they feel that it's just going to go down the drains that are made there. Can you tell me if that water is just going to go down the drains, or if the inmates are going to have an effect of where that water ends up going?
That water's going to go with the path of least resistance, which is down. And that's what we experience down here. It's going to take that officer, once they start flooding upstairs and the officers upstairs figure out that they've got a flooding issue going on or a sprinkler head's been knocked off, then there's another officer downstairs got to find a key, get into the boiler room or what room the valve's located in. Sometimes we've even had to go outside and cut the water off at the main outside. So it takes time. You're looking at maybe 4 or 5 minutes to the time you get that water fully shut off, because there's still water in them pipes. You've got a multi-level building. All right, there's water up on that upper level. It's got to come down through those pipes and go out too.
Yep. So it's just not a matter of shutting it off. It takes time for all that pressure
That's correct.
to relieve.
That's correct.
You mentioned fire sprinklers. There's obviously throughout the facility. How do they set those off? You said they break them. Is that?
They will take something and just knock the head off, and it automatically
starts to spray.
Sprinkler spray.
Do you ever have any issues with inmates starting any fires or?
No, we've not had any issues like that.
Okay. What is the maximum inmates that you've housed here at one time?
We've housed up to, we can actually hold roughly around 450, but at the jail we can hold 167 at the jail. We've been up over 200 before. We've had overcrowding issues here before.
What was the average amount of inmates housed in 2019 and 2021?
2019, we were around, skip that one because he didn't put that down. I let my jail administrator put that down. He left that out. I apologize.
That's all right. Not a problem.
Maybe you can cut that one out there. I apologize.
No, we roll the whole footage. That's fine. Not a problem. Obviously, I'm sure you had a lot more inmates in 2019 pre-COVID.
We did. Right now we're pre-COVID. I'm running about 290 to 300 right now in both facilities.
Total.
Yes.
Okay. And has anything changed because of the COVID? Have you got more inmates out?
Yes, the judicial system has released more inmates to try to alleviate the COVID problem. Those that are misdemeanors, things like that, they try to go ahead and lighter sentences, get them on released out.
Okay, so they were just free release, no probation? Or...
Yes, they were put on probation if they were released out, yes.
Okay.
They still had time to serve.
Have you seen a lot of those inmates that were released with this COVID come back? Or
yes, we have.
So you've seen a lot of them just...
It's a revolving door down there. It's a revolving door.
Okay. What type of programs are available to the inmates?
We've got everything from the ministry comes in and preaches to them, tries to help them. We've got a 9-step alcohol program. We've got GED. We've got correctional pathways. We've got a living free program. We've got a life skill program. A lot of these inmates, they don't know how to balance a checkbook, or they don't know how to cope day to day. So we've got a life skill program. Peer support, we have that program. And also we do some programs with businesses, factories here in the county, where we select those that are eligible, or we feel is eligible. We select those inmates and they go out and work in these factories. Now with the COVID, it's slowed that down. We've more or less stopped that, but we let them go out and work.
And that's strictly from the workhouse?
Yes, from the workhouse, yes.
Okay. Do you see a difference in the inmates that take on those type of programs that you offer, as far as not returning as often as some that just kind of hang out in the jail all day long?
We have had a success rate with our inmates that are going out and working in the community. They have actually, once they have been released from jail, they have actually stayed with those companies that they've been working for and are productive employees there. I know down at SRK, we've got one that's a supervisor down there now.
Nice.
So they have...
So you're building opportunities.
Building opportunities. You can put those inmates in this jail, but you've got to have some kind of program. They're just going to sit down there if you put them in here. You've got to have some kind of program to slow down the recidivism rate.
Okay. And who started these programs? Is that a judicial thing, or was that a sheriff's department?
It's been started over the last 15, 20 years through the judicial system and through the sheriff's department and ministries and stuff.
Okay. Do you house any state inmates?
Yes, we do.
What does the state pay per day?
State pays per day is $38.
How much does it cost to house an inmate for a day?
Roughly around $30 a day.
Wow, that's on the actual lower side in comparison.
Well, now we run our own garden in the summertime, so saves on food costs. So that cuts down on that a little.
I'm glad you mentioned that because last night I was asked an ironic question: if I became president tomorrow, what would be the first thing that I changed? And my thing was all facilities, county, state, federal jails, they would have to grow their own food. They would have to take care of their own poultry or beef and everything. And whatever it took them to utilize themselves, they had to double that and sell it back to the community to bring in income. So I didn't know that you all garden.
Yes, we do a garden next to the workhouse down there over to the side. We do it. And then we have partnered with farmers that grow crops around here for Walmart or some of the grocery stores. And what we do, they go through and pick out a certain amount of that crop that's good, and then the other, it just sits there. So they let us go in and reap the benefits of that to bring those, everything from squash to zucchini to beans, tomatoes. We bring that in and make use of that here at the jail.
And those farmers are just strictly here in Greene County?
Yes.
That's a great program. I think other facilities need to look into that because that some of them might not have an area to grow vegetables because of the size of the location.
And those farmers, they grow that first crop and get maybe the first or second crop off of it, and then they're going to come through and disc it in the ground again and put out another crop to grow, finish up the growing season. So it's just going to lay there and go to waste.
A lot of food gets wasted. Definitely, people don't realize. They think that every little bit is taken, and there's a lot of good food. All right, what is the bail amount for disorderly conduct and public intoxication?
300 signed and 292.50 cash. You can cash bond out here on a public intoxication and not have to come back to court.
Okay. Are you aware that Hamlin County is trying to build a 600 plus inmate multi-story jail?
Yes.
You are familiar with that? Okay. And how did you hear about that?
Sheriff Jarnigan mentioned that, and then I've seen the news on it too.
Okay, so you do speak to Sheriff Jarnigan?
Yes.
Okay, because I spoke to another sheriff, and they actually don't talk. They don't communicate. They know of each other, but they don't communicate. And I was always just kind of under the impression that one county kind of helped the other county. They talked, and but apparently that's not uniformed all the way around.
It's not but the surrounding counties around me, I try to communicate with those sheriffs.
Okay, awesome. Are you aware that the Hamlin County Sheriff is against the layout of the new jail?
I'm not aware of that, no.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on the Hamlin County Mayor regarding whether he is looking out for the citizens' best interest by not considering the sheriff's knowledge or expertise on the design?
I think when you're going to build a jail, you've got to get all the stakeholders together. If the jail's been decertified by the Tennessee Corrections Institute, we get tunnel vision a lot of times. You get tunnel vision, you say, well, okay, we need to look at this right now. You've got to get everybody involved in this big picture here. Everything from you judges to you sheriff to you citizens. Building a multi-story building, we're landlocked right here inside Greenville right now. If I had to build on this jail, I can't go up. I guess I could, but it's going to cost a lot of money to go up. And up is not the answer. If you're going to build a jail in the schools I've been in and been around over the years, you need to go out in the county. You still have to stay within the city limits, but out into the city somewhere where you've got land. Now, Cobb County's doing that right now. They've got smart. They've got to build a new jail. So they found some acreage and they went out. And why they're doing that is they can expand later.
Okay.
If you've got 300 inmates in jail, you don't need to build a jail for 400. You're going to have to look down the road. Jail population's increasing. So you're going to look down the road. If you're going to build a jail and you've got 300 already in jail, you better be building a jail for 600 to 1,000 inmates.
Okay.
And a lot of commissioners and people would go, "Oh, that's crazy." Well, I'm going to tell you a little story about our federal courthouse over here. The U.S. Marshal Service contracts with Buncombe County, North Carolina. That's Asheville, North Carolina. They pay the Sheriff's Department in Buncombe County, North Carolina, to bring inmates, federal inmates, over here to federal court. If I had the room down here, they'd love to contract with me, but I don't have the room. That's $50-some a day I could get off those inmates.
Okay.
State inmates, you can get paid for that. You can pay for a jail. That's my opinion. You can pay for a jail by housing state and federal inmates. Carter County is doing that up there right now. Sheriff Lunsford up in Carter County. He has started housing federal inmates. He realizes there's a benefit to bring revenue into the county.
Okay.
That's always not a popular answer.
No.
But you can do that.
All right. That county you just spoke of, do they have a federal courthouse in the county?
No, Carter County would be brought down here to Greenville. Federal courthouse seat is here in Greenville. The Federal Marshal Service is going as far as Virginia, up into Virginia, Abington, places like that, and housing inmates that have to go to trial here, and having that county bring them down here.
Okay. So medical for a state inmate. The Sheriff's Department is responsible for paying their medical for state.
If they're a state and federal inmate, the state and feds pay that inmate's medical.
All of it.
Yes, we pay it and get reimbursed, more or less, is the way it happens. We send them out, we get reimbursed. And we do house some federal inmates down here when we've got room to house them. And if those inmates have to go out to the hospital, they're sick or something, then we get paid, our officers get paid to sit with them at that hospital while they're there.
Okay.
Through the federal government.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say to the citizens of Greene County?
To Greene County or Hamilton County?
No, to Greene County. Your county.
My county? Well, we manage our jail population the best way we can. We try to, if they're state inmates and we're starting to get overcrowded, we try to get them onto another facility. We try to help out other counties. I'm holding inmates down here for other counties right now, especially I think I've got 5 or 6 for Cobb County, because they may be a child sex offender or something. They have no segregation cells. So we hold them down here in these cells to help them out because they don't have no room.
Since you mentioned different type of cells and holding facilities, if you were to build a new facility today, what type of cells would you have for different type of inmates? How would you break that down?
You need your maximum security cells for those that cause problems. You need those just separate from the general population. That way it's more or less solitary, the maximum security cells are. You need those. You need a medical pod for those that are sick to get them out of the pods upstairs where they don't transmit diseases and stuff. So you need a medical pod. You need individual holding cells for somebody that's you've got issues with or that have mental issues or something. You need to segregate them out to individual holding cells. So you're going to have to look at that when building a jail. You're going to have individual holding cells. You're going to have to look at your drunk tanks. You've got to have your drunk tanks to put people in that are intoxicated or anything like that. We've got 2 down here in our facility down here. You've also got to look at your female population. As I said before, your female population is catching up with your male population in our county. Now, I don't know about these other counties, but I'm sure it is in these other counties. And I can speak from experience because, like I said, when I started out, having 2 to 5 females in jail down there was a big thing. You're going to have to look at your female populations and expanding those pods to have enough room. But you got to look for growth. You got to look to the future.
Sure.
You've got to look growth to the future. Do I want to build where I'm landlocked? No. You want to build where you can expand on. If you can build a 1-story or 2-story and put your administrative offices up on your 2nd story, that's good. But you need to build and look at the future. And it takes all stakeholders working together. And we try to do that here in Greene County. I know when the workhouse was built, everybody worked together on that workhouse. And everybody had an input. Now, there's issues at the workhouse that I don't like. You know, when that workhouse was built, I don't know, it wasn't overseen like it should have been. So I've got pipes in there that have this much room to work in between. There was no pipe chase put in to work on the plumbing. So we have issues. We've had to go in and cut blocks out and put in access doors just to get in. So things like that, the little things. But you need people, and I'm saying jailers. You need your jailers to sit in on your building and design of your facility.
That's very wise.
They're there. They know what they need.
Okay.
Your jail administrator or somebody, they need to be sitting in on that because they see what goes on day to day in that facility. They know what they need to make their job a lot easier.
And we've actually had a jailer come to the commissioner meetings and invite all the commissioners to come into work a shift over there just so that they can get first eye view of it. Of course, not a one accepted. And they're probably never going to even step foot inside of the actual jail to see what it looks like or what it needs or, how it's even ran to know what is a pro and what is a con on the new facility.
Well, I can say this for Greene County, our mayor is very proactive. He's been in that jail. He's worked a shift. He comes out here and rides on the road with the officers. He goes and rides in the garbage trucks. He goes to EMS and rides with the EMTs and paramedics on the ambulances.
Cool.
He gets out and sees what our county needs. And I have a law enforcement committee made up of 10 county commissioners. We meet every so often. I take them through this facility. I take them through the workhouse. I show them what we're fixing. I show them what needs fixing. This year, I'm presenting them with a 5-year maintenance plan. Things that are going to need to be maintained in the next 5 years. That lets them know, hey, okay, we need to look at funding to put a new roof on the workhouse. Okay, we've got a boiler that's seen its life, so we need to replace that boiler in the next 5 years. So that gives them a chance to see what needs to be done.
Yeah, and I agree that they need to see it with their own eyes in order to, one, know what's going on, and two, appreciate what the jailers are going through and what the facility upkeep takes. Because everybody knows that when you have inmates, they just try to wear everything out. They have nothing but time on their hands. They do. That's absolutely it. Did you want to say something to the Hamilton County residents?
Well, I think everybody needs to be involved if they're going to build this jail. It needs to be a joint effort with, like I say, from the administrators to your commissioners. Everybody needs to sit down at the table. I would strongly suggest that TCI, which is Tennessee Corrections Institute, they built jails across this state. They've overseen them because they have to approve those jails once they're built to house inmates. They're a good resource. The other one is the National Institute of Corrections. Cotton County just went through this. They sent the mayor and the sheriff and different people on their commission to Colorado to spend a week out there with the National Institute of Corrections. They show you what you need to do in building a jail and what you don't need to do in building a jail.
Okay.
You want your jail right when you build it. You don't want to go 10, 15 years down the line here and say, well, I wish we wouldn't have built it this way. You want it right when it's built. Because it should last.
Do you know what type of facility they have up there in Colorado, the layout of it?
It's the National Institute of Corrections. They just bring them in. They go jails all across the United States and stuff and help facilitate things like that.
Okay, so they're just the professionals of
right.
construction design.
Right.
What works, what doesn't work over the time.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add? That's all the questions that I have.
Well, I wish them the best of luck down there, but don't just put the blinders on and get the tunnel vision. Look to the future. Look to the future.
That's what we need to do, Sheriff. Thank you. Everybody needs to do that, not just in this case, but every day you need to wake up, look towards the future, learn something new every day, and have a positive outlook.
Amen.
Thank you. Well, Sheriff, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and end this. hey, everybody watching, I am going to go ahead and do a walk around of the outside of the facility. We'll check out the courthouse next door, and then after that, we'll head on over to the workhouse and take a look at that. So be sure to check out the next videos. Thank you for watching.